Welcome again. I am Manal Zainuddin, the founder of Orbit's Development Code, a transdisciplinary approach for conscious learning and being. If you are new to my content, I have been in the field of education for 21 years as a teacher and a director, and now as a global education consultant. I speak about education from macro and micro angles. Education that is never limited to schooling and schoolwork, education that is never separate from the real personal and professional world, and most importantly, that is never separate from us, conscious beings. Welcome again. This video is related to the Acts of Kind Attention series that I send every month in my newsletter. Now, this is in particular is related to the 15th of June that marked World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. How is this related to education and consulting? Well, because when we speak about conscious learning, I cannot disregard such community matters. We cannot be educators without paying attention to every aspect in our community. And this day in particular, World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, is related to rights of older persons as named by the United Nations. So let's consider that from Orbit's perspective. Owning our way. A meta-analysis of studies of elder abuse was conducted in 2017, and I'll be citing it in the description box below. And it brought to attention that elder abuse has been neglected in comparison to other types of violence and abuse. Almost all of us have an elder at home or know about elders. Now, while many of our elders are well taken care of, many others are not. I am certain that when we look at our communities, everyone will notice that there is an elder who is not treated well, or another elder who is severely abused. And here I excuse myself for elaborating on this. As explained in the report, the abuse may be physical, for example, due to hitting or pushing or even burning. Emotional, such as name calling, embarrassing, scaring, or putting restrictions on the elders, such as not allowing them to see their family and friends. Financial abuse as well, which is mainly about misusing an older person's money, property, or even credit card. And neglect, mainly the failure to meet an older person's basic needs, such as food, shelter, clothing, medications, etc., and other types of abuse. Now, we all have a role to play, and we must play it wisely. Even if there is no elderly in our family who is abused, but at least caring for the elders in our lives and raising compassionate children. Now, being part of the solutions makes us own the way through the solution. In other words, taking responsibility. It makes the process more authentic. As parents, there is so much to do because this is family after all. Showing our care through conversations, discussions, and even gestures, creating small senior community, or helping our elderly join one. Unfortunately, due to COVID, this may not be very easy, but it is not impossible. We can do that anytime in the near future. Being role models in front of our children is very, very important. When we treat our parents, the grandparents of the children, in a caring way, our children will grow to love and care. Selecting grandparents themed children's books, and there are lots of child-friendly books about taking care of grandparents. You can check that online. They are available in so many languages. One very interesting project also can be the family book form, which is a dashboard, and I mentioned that in another video about the elder abuse related to what leaders and teachers can do. Family book form has templates through which learners can write or type in their own content, interview the elders around them, and very easily get those digital books published. Now, these digital books can become part of the family's bookshelf. They can share it with other families. They can share it with their friends, And needless to say, there is so much wisdom that can come through these books. Well, how do we do that? We have to raise our standards. The average life expectancy has increased in the past 2 centuries. However, the global population of people aged 60 years and older will, according to the UN, to the United Nations, will rise from 900 million in 2015 to about 2 billion in 2050. At this point, raising our standards to align with with the advancement of life expectancy is mandatory. We need to have new mindsets. Well, as parents, we always reinforce life expectancy causes such as better hygiene, better medical services, better lifestyles. We can tell stories of old people learning to do a hobby at a very old age, such as the age of 75, going to college in their 50s and 60s, starting a business at the age of 70. We ourselves incorporate such practices in our daily lives. We can show commitment, we can show perseverance, and we can show hope. Understanding the 4 stages of life: childhood, adolescence, younger adulthood, and older adulthood, and endorsing the concept of new birth at every stage. We don't have to hide our age, whether we are at the early 40s, like in my case, or 50s or 60s. We have to embrace every stage as a new birth, and using the word older adulthood rather than ageism. Parents can also sponsor an elderly or provide free services from whatever industry they are in to the elderly. Well, we can have assets, we can have competencies and skills that we can use, and we can believe in them, believing in our assets. One of the studies showed that 2 in 3 staff in nursing homes reported having committed abuse. We know that nursing homes are a need to some people, but we have to stop and think. What do we have as families that can make us avoid having to send our elderly to nursing homes? How much care can we show? Care and love are our greatest assets. Now, we can learn also more about how to care of an elderly. The World Health Organization ICOPE handbook application, for example, provides practical guidance to address all matters related to healthy aging. So we can use such assets, whether human assets or material assets. How do we put that together? By integrating our mind and positive emotion. And how do we do that? We can revamp the connection of our mind and heart energy to instill compassion and love. And we all know that communities are strengthened by compassion and love. All challenges are resolved by compassion and love. And I have mentioned under Owning Our Way how we as parents can strengthen bonds between us and the elderly, and in the same way, the same love and care can trigger us to look around and to see how we can help elder abuse cases in our small communities. Other fundamental points are how we avoid programming the strong, weak mentality, the victor mentality, so that our children do not grow up with misconceptions about life and their presence in it. And more related to that, how we solve generation conflicts. And I will be speaking more about this in other videos. How do we put that into action? Well, we have to tailor to our needs and aspirations to the needs of our communities and aspirations. Old people go through disturbing conditions, such as dementia, depression due to reduced mobility, several forms of physical and mental disorders, frailty, etc. Such cases most of the times result in a lack of patience by adults and sometimes nervousness and anger at them, who will in turn abuse the elders. And also with certain economic conditions, we might find that adults are pushed to abuse elders. Department of Economic and Social Affairs Aging notes that in both developed and developing countries, there is this type of abuse and it is kept private. It's considered a taboo. It's something that should not be made public. And many of us heard stories of old actors who were mistreated at the end of their lives. Now, those same actors who, during their lifetimes, during their professional lifetimes, they have presented movies and series about values of life, about love, and about compassion. But at the end of their lives, they died lonely. Doctors, farmers, writers, and so many other professionals, and the list is endless, of course. So we need here to pay attention that such an abuse should not continue to be private. We can bring it to public so that radical solutions are found. We need to reflect upon our practices. Now, what are our aspirations? Our aspirations are mainly to have generations who are abuse-free, and even more healthy end-of-life years to the individuals who were once serving and bringing life and value to our world, and they are still doing that. We cannot just ignore that. We cannot also ignore that those elders have the right to express themselves, to speak out, and also to make decisions, unless proven otherwise. But they have the right to make decisions even at the end of their lives. How do we solve such problems practically? As parents, if we do not know what may harm an elder, although this is quite obvious, but if we by any chance do not know that we can search for training. Many organizations offer training for caring adults so that they know how to handle all types of matters. Considering abuse, if we know about an elder who is abused, we cannot just stand and watch. I know that we do not have the right to interfere because it's a family matter, but we can find ways to draw attention depending on the situation. Most countries have also emergency call lines or special helplines, so we can use that in case there is an emergency. In case there's an emergency, one of the simplest also ways that we can draw the attention of an adult, for example, if this abuser is a friend, because this sometimes may happen, we can talk to them directly or indirectly just to draw their attention, and so many times it works. Eliminating violence from our daily lives as well, monitoring what our children watch, because violence received is violence emitted. So we can't expect to have compassionate children when they are watching and consuming content that shows aggression and violence. And the fourth point is eliminating sarcasm, especially when it involves situations of frail, weak people, especially frail, weak, old people. When we parents make fun of an old man stuttering when he speaks, or of an old woman who can barely walk, while we are showing a model that is not right and that is not fair. So we can't expect our children not to adopt this model as they grow up. So coming to the end of this episode from the acts of kind attention, and it is a chance now to draw kind attention to such a critical matter of our society. Older people are by themselves assets to our communities. For so many reasons, they have given so much throughout their lives. Even more than that, they as individuals have the right to continue living a safe, healthy, and happy life until their last day of existence. Moreover, older people are the embodiment of wisdom, and we need to be with them, we need to be around them, because there are so many lessons that we can learn from them. And I would like to mention in this very special episode an elderly in my life, my own grandmother from my mother's side. She's in her late 80s, and I wholeheartedly say that I am so proud that She has been in my life, and to this day, when I have a conversation with her, she is always mentioning phrases and even ideas that I can learn from. And I can say that she is the epitome uh, of, of a lifetime, of a life experience. And not only that, I love to be around her. I also like to cherish her and appreciate her because she has gone through so much in her life. And even what she says relates to new age wisdom as well. She, throughout the proverbs she says, throughout the expressions she repeats, you know that there is something to learn every minute. And I dedicate this episode to her. So, ending this up, I say let's endorse conscious learning and being.